thing that really challenged me probably the most, and was probably more and more difficult for me, was when looking at the power of love and how the power of God's love, the power of the resurrection, how that love overcame death, that then brought me face to face with what happens to people after they die. And I realized that I was programmed by a religious belief, which I now call the hell myth, hell in inverted commas, because the English word hell is not actually a biblical word at all, that myth really held sway in my life, even though really I wasn't really convicted over it, in the sense of it wasn't my conviction through personal study or anything. It was just, well, I guess that is what it is. I didn't really like it, but it was an issue. So I believe that unconditional love is the very essence of who God is. God's character, his nature, are a reflection of who he is, and he cannot change depending on the situation. He's not the Old Testament God, the New Testament God. He's God, Father, Son, Spirit, and God is love. God is light. God is spirit. God is a consuming fire. So with God, there are no situational ethics. He is consistent. He is reliable. He doesn't change. Therefore, we can depend on him. We don't have to be afraid of him. He's not going to be inconsistent. One day he's going to be happy with us, and the next day, well, he might be a bit grumpy. We've got out of the bed the wrong side. Not that God really has a bed, of course. But in reality, we've got to be realizing that he doesn't change. He's the same. And when we realize that, that gives us a great degree of security. We don't have to be afraid that he's going to change, or he might change his mind about us, or we might not have done it good enough. You know, and all of us, and I always think for my own life, when I was a teenager, you know, I just never was sure, well, did I pray the right prayer? Did I pray it in my heart good enough? So I was always sort of insecure about my salvation, because it was down to, did I do it well enough? Well, now I realize it's totally about what Jesus did on the cross, not what I do. I just come to a realization of that. So God is the same yesterday, today, and always will be, because he's I am that I am. That is a statement that says I will never be anything other than who I am, and he is love. Now, religion always creates doubt about how good and loving God is, and introduces fear into the picture, because that keeps people in line. You have to toe the line if you're afraid that you might be punished by God if you don't. No, God does not want to treat us in such a way that he wants us out of fear to respect him and honor him. And you certainly won't love someone out of fear, because we love because he first loved us. We don't love him because we're afraid if we don't, something bad might go on, or do we? Because that's probably where I was in some of my life.